Is it selfish to focus on getting your own emotional needs met? And will it make you seem needy if you do that? The answer to both of these questions is no, as long as you do it in ways that are healthy and respectful. Hi everybody, this is Greg from Heart Tools, where we make it simple to build great relationships. And in our last video, we talked about the fact that it is your job to make sure that you are getting all of your emotional needs met on a consistent basis. There is no one else on the planet, if you're an adult, whose job it is to make sure that your emotional needs are getting met. And we gave you a strategy, a simple thing you can practice to ensure that you're getting your need for appreciation is getting met. But what I want to do in this video is talk about a bigger strategy that you can use to make sure that a lot of your emotional needs are getting met on a regular basis without you having to stop and ask for it. But one of the things I want to deal with first is this emotional obstacle that we get. And the first one is it selfish for me to try to get my emotional needs met? Shouldn't I be focusing on other people all the time? And the answer is no, it's not selfish. And here's why. It's because if you take responsibility for ensuring that your emotional needs are getting met, your need to be listened to, validated, respected, valued, appreciated, connected with, whatever the needs are, if you take responsibility for getting those needs met, you will be the best version of you for all the other people in your life. It's a lot like what they say on the airplane when the mask pops down. They say, put your own air mask on first. That way, you will be able to help other people with their mask. Well, if you are getting your emotional needs met on a regular basis, then you're going to be the best version of you, and you're going to be able to have a positive impact on everyone in your life much more consistently. The second fear that we can have in taking responsibility for getting our emotional needs met is sometimes we can be afraid that we're going to be perceived as a needy person. And none of us want that, because we don't want to appear weak. We don't want to appear dependent. We don't want to be weak and dependent, right? And so we don't want others to perceive us as a needy person. So in order to kind of understand that piece, let's talk about a couple characteristics of doing the 4 stages of relationship building well. The first characteristic is the characteristic of reciprocity, and we talked about this at the very beginning of our journey together. And reciprocity means that it is your job to learn how to love other people well. It's not your job to make sure other people are loving you well. What you want to do is practice these skills and love other people well. And then what you want to do is you want to pay attention to who loves you well in return, right? You can invite people to love you well. You can invite people on this journey with you, but you can't force them to come. So your job is to love others well and then pay attention to who's loving you well. And then those are the relationships that you take to stage 2. And then you want to practice the skills of connecting deeply, invite other people to connect deeply with you, and then pay attention to who actually practices those skills and is also working to create connection with you. And those are the relationships that you take to stage 3. If you do that, if you pay attention to reciprocity and only move, up to the next stage with people who are doing the previous stage with you, the likelihood of you getting your emotional needs met on a regular basis is going to be much higher. The second characteristic of these 4 stages of relationship building is amplification. And what that means is the skills of loving well are really important at stage 1 for people that you're just meeting. But when you go to stage 2, stage 1 skills don't become less important, they become more important. When you go to stage 3 of connecting, of journeying together, stage 1 skills don't become less important, they become even more important than they were at stage 2. And then when you go to stage 4, healing intimately, stage 1 skills become even more important. But here's the problem we run into as we try to work through those stages in order with reciprocity, understanding amplification, is if we're just learning this stuff, we may be in a position where we've been married for someone for 20 years and we've never done these skills of loving well. We've never done these skills of connecting deeply, and we kind of jump the gun, and yet we're in this committed relationship where our emotional needs aren't getting met because really neither one of us knows how to do it. And so then your strategy for making sure your emotional needs get met is simply to invite people who you are in stage 3 with to take this journey with you. To invite your spouse to, hey, I'm learning these new skills to help me be more emotionally intelligent and better at creating relationships. I would love it if we could do this together and actually practice this in our marriage and develop a stronger relationship together. You might want to do it with your small group at church. You might want to do it with a work team and say, hey, let's really work on our emotional intelligence to become a highly functioning team. You might want to work on it even with your kids if they're at the age where they can start understanding this. I think one of the 3 best things you can do for your kids is teach them these emotional skills. If you teach them stage 1, 2, and 3 especially, what will happen as they become adolescents and as they go off to college is they will see dysfunctional, manipulative users a mile away, and they will avoid those relationships. They will see unhealthy, toxic cultures a mile away, and they will avoid those relationships because they know what the healthy thing feels like. They'll see the red flag. So invite your kids also to practice this with you. So here's the bottom line. It is your responsibility to make sure that your emotional needs are getting met on a consistent basis, just as it's your responsibility to make sure your nutritional needs are getting met on a consistent basis. If you do that, you will become the best version of you. If you do that with people who also want to love well, and if you do it reciprocally, so it's not all about your needs, they can have needs too, and you can meet their needs, then you'll be in a place where you won't be perceived as needy as well. So here's what I would like to invite you to do to practice this week is simply choose one person and invite them into this journey of, hey, I'm learning these skills of building a relationship. I'd really love someone to practice with. Could we practice this together? Could we build a stronger marriage together? Could I build a stronger relationship with my teenage son together if we practice this together, right? Invite someone on this journey with you. If you already have someone that you're practicing with, then one thing you can do is say, hey, let's practice this together this week. Let's challenge each other. Let's send an appreciation to one another every other day. Let's practice being warm. Let's practice. What skill set are we going to practice? If you do that, if you invite people along for the journey and practice together, and then if you lean in to relationships where people do that naturally for you, then you'll put yourself in a position where you will get your emotional needs met on a much regular basis, and you will be the best version of you for the people in your life. Simple steps, practice, practice, practice. That's what Heart Tools is all about.